any team in Week 14. If Dan Bailey didn't miss 3 field goals and an extra point, I think it had a different outcome. I still don't know what Tampa's identity is. I thought they were awful in the first quarter. Look the same.
Cardinals at Giants.
Run, Kyler, run. Cardinals are 8-0 when Kyler has 10-plus carries in his career, and because of an injury, he stopped running. Well, yesterday, he went back to running. 13 carries, 47 rushing yards. That's the most rushing yards since Week 10, and it absolutely frustrated a very good... You see it right there. It drove the Giants nuts. When he runs, they're a tough out.
Broncos at Panthers.
Best bad game. Drew Lock, career-high 4 touchdown passes. No picks for the first time since Week 2. Didn't mean much, but Drew Lock had a real football game.
Chiefs at Dolphins.
Way too close. Come on. 5 straight wins by 1 possession. Chiefs outscored 17-3 in the fourth quarter. Chiefs with a season-high 4 turnovers. Listen, Miami is exceptionally well coached. And this is a great catch in the end zone. But, I mean, Miami was missing their top 3 running backs, Kyle Van Noy, 3 rookies in the O-line. Devontae Parker didn't play in the second half. No way the best team in football should let Miami back in this thing.
Titans at Jaguars.
A predictable blowout. We called this one on Friday. Jags now on a 12-game losing streak. Derrick Henry, 4th career game with 200 rushing yards. Here's the reality with Tennessee. Good teams that get blown out. Titans last week always bounce back the following week, and the Titans did.
Cowboys at Bengals.
Andy was dandy. Dalton, a season-high 122 passer rating. Andy, 2 touchdowns, no picks. I didn't watch a ton of this game, but this is where Andy Dalton played. They kind of gave up on him, and I understood it was time to reboot. Everybody bangs on Dalton, but I've said this. He's not Dak. But if you give Andy a little time to throw, the one thing I think he does as good as Dak or better, he throws a very accurate, tight, intermediate ball. He didn't have a huge arm. He's not as good as Dak as an athlete, but if you have to just throw intermediate balls 17 yards in, Andy Dalton with time to throw is real good.
Texans at Bears.
Don't be fooled. I know the Bears had a season-high 36 points. Trubisky was amazing. Texans have the 2nd worst defense in NFL to the Jaguars. By the way, the first play of the game, Bears scored an 80-yard touchdown. Texans weren't ready to play.
Jets at Seahawks.
Worst team ever? The Jets scored 3 points on the opening drive and then surrendered the next 40 points. 16 straight games where the Jets' opponents have passed for more yards than the Jets with Darnold or Joe Flacco.
Colts at Raiders.
Physical versus finesse. Wow. Jonathan Taylor had 150 yards. He's the rookie from Wisconsin. We loved him. They love him. Raiders, 10 turnovers in the last 3 games. This one was one of those NFL games. If you bet it, you knew 10 minutes in. If you had the Raiders, you were on the wrong side. And if you had the Colts, you knew it was going to be a good day. By the way, that kid, is that Kenny Moore? He is good. All those draft picks from Chris Ballard are starting to pay off and pay off early.
Washington at 49ers.
Coach of year, Ron Rivera, 4 straight wins. 6 wins this year, doubles the win total last year. He's got cancer. Alex Smith got hurt yesterday, and Antonio Gibson did not play. If you look at the obstacles, the chaos at quarterback, the Dwayne Haskins decision, it was a rough September, October, but this is what Rivera did in Carolina. It's an organization that didn't have an identity. He makes your defense really good. That's one thing about Cam. For the Cam defenders, Cam usually had a top 10 defense with Rivera. Whoever quarterbacks Washington is going to have a really good defensive scheme.
Falcons at Chargers.
INT. 2 punts, 3 picks in the fourth quarter. Nobody gives up wins like Atlanta. My bad, except for the Chargers. This thing was a mess. It was Atlanta and Atlanta South. You just can't. Matt Ryan and Justin Herbert are good. It was just 2 teams giving this puppy away. No, it was so chaotic and so absolutely predictable.
Saints at Eagles.
Man, that hurts. Saints lose the number 1 seed in the NFC. Jalen Hurts had 106 rushing yards. For the record, Taysom Hill's good. But did you notice this? 3 of the Saints' 4 low-scoring games are with Taysom Hill. So again, unique can win, but now everybody's got a little film on Taysom Hill, and suddenly the points are harder to get.
Packers at Lions.
Easy for cheesy. I love that. I know it's bad. Goulet, give me a break. I'm up here for 3 hours doing hockey scores, okay? Packers now currently the number 1 seed. This was one of these games, it was close. You never felt Green Bay would lose. I never felt for a second Green Bay would lose. Aaron Rodgers in the last 3 weeks, 10 TDs, 0 picks, total harmony with Matt LaFleur. The one thing I liked about this game, Detroit couldn't run the football. And Detroit was held to 51 rushing yards, so that was more than just a win for Green Bay. They played very good against the run, which is going to really matter in the postseason.
Steelers at Bills.
Told you so. Being kind of a jerk. The Bills are a Hail Mary away from being 7-0 in their last 7 games, and they so remind me of the Pittsburgh Steelers 13 years ago. Ben was in his 4th year. Josh Allen's in his 3rd. They had a defensive head coach from William & Mary. They had a smart coordinator, Bruce Arians with Ben, and Brian Daboll with Josh Allen. Northeast, proud, cold weather franchise. Steelers, Bills, been to a lot of Super Bowls. One team's won them all. Other teams lost a lot of them. But, boy, Pittsburgh is isn't it weird? If I'd have told you there's one team in the NFL will not be able to run the ball, you'd never think the Steelers. I think of all the great Steeler teams, the defenses, Terry Bradshaw, Big Ben, they can always run the ball. Last couple of years, Le'Veon Bell left, cannot run the ball since he left. Can't run the ball. Doesn't matter. They've had Pro Bowl offensive linemen. They've had tight ends that can block. They cannot run the football since Le'Veon Bell left.
It's a big problem.
Streaming service coming next year, Discovery Plus, all the shows you love from your favorite brands like the Food Network. All right, by the way, after Monday's shows, I go upstairs and I do this thing for Fox Bet. I do like 30 minutes with Carissa and McIntyre. So if you want to watch that, this is a very good week. And this is the 3rd time this year. The lines are really good this week. These are good lines. You have weeks when you look up and you're like, you see nothing. I see 4 games right now.
Saints one of those games?
Saints are getting 4 at home. Really? Really? You're going to give the Saints, the Saints 4 at home? I don't care what happens. That's the side you bet. They didn't suddenly become a bad team. They were the number 1 seed 24 hours ago. Now at home against the Chiefs team that's kind of choppy.